Hello and welcome to Applied Social Work Law with me, Mike Harling. I'm the program lead for the social work apprenticeship degree, and I'm going to be taking you through the main aims of one of our modules here, Applied Social Work. I'm going to start by looking at those kind of main module aims, which are to develop and enhance the apprenticeship's existing skills. We know that the apprentices that we work with bring a lot of experience from their substantive posts working in local authorities. So when they come to us, they have an understanding of the law, they have a view of it, they have a sense of what it looks like on a day-to-day basis. Our job is to enhance that and to work with them to see how they can think about how the law is applied within their roles, and a little bit more of the kind of context of that. So how have we got to this position? Why are we applying the law in this way? What's the kind of history here? And the background, and all the time we're always thinking about how does that link with our social work value base, being anti-discriminatory, and thinking about issues around social injustice. So the law is the tool, it's the structure in which we kind of work around, but context is everything, and the experience of apprentices in applying those bits of legislation that are relevant to their particular roles is absolutely key. I'm going to go through some of the main bits of legislation that we cover, which include, it's not an absolute list, but these are the kind of main areas that we look at. We've got the Human Rights Act 1998, and that really kind of underpins pretty much everything else that goes on within social care, and all legislation to that needs to understand the impact of how human rights are so key to how we do our work within social work. One of the other main acts that we look at is the Children Act 1989. There's some very key sections in that, which apprentices who work in areas within children families will be familiar with, but we look at a little bit more of the detail around that and some of the kind of major thinking that's gone into forming that legislation and supporting the practice on a day-to-day basis. Mental Capacity Act 2005, again, we look at kind of the history of how we've got to a point where we've considered what are the principles that underlie that act, how we apply it, how we assess mental capacity, and how we kind of think about ensuring that the individual gets the full ability to express what their needs are, and we kind of take into account what's relevant to them. I'm just doing a bit of a whiz through some of the others as well. We've got the Mental Health Act. It's the Mental Health Act 1983, but it was amended with some quite important updates in 2007, and we talk about that and look at the reasons as to why that happened, and the role of the AMP, approved mental health practitioner, and their role in applying that piece of legislation, but the broader understanding within social work as to what mental health teams and mental health services aim to support people around. We've got the Equality Act 2010, which is something that we need to apply proactively. We need to think about how we can create more equal environments within social services and within social work more generally, and it's a good structure to help us to kind of think about that. And again, we kind of think about how it came into being and what kind of what created the reason for the Act of Parliament being passed. Finally, on this list of legislation that I've chosen to pick out is the Care Act 2014, very significant piece of legislation when working in adult social care. Strong focus on being more holistic, being person-centered, and putting safeguarding on a statutory footing, which was a very significant development, and supports a lot of work we do around safeguarding. And alongside those pieces of legislation, we look at some of the key reports and reviews that took place, the Monroe report, the report into Winterbourne View, and the very recent Josh McAllister review into children's services and how we might apply them better. And we work with our local authority partners to see what that looks like on a day-to-day basis. So we've got the legislation here, we've got the reviews, but what does that look like in practice? How do we apply the principles and the practicalities of the law that we've been looking at? Finally, the assignment that we ask apprentices to do is to look at a piece of their own work and to draw out the relevant bits of law that help them to understand what they were doing in that particular scenario that they choose, but also think about some of the sort of wider social context, particularly around things around anti-discriminatory practice, and again around equality and being person-centered and being as unobtrusive in people's lives as possible, because within application of law, we're thinking of questions of kind of liberty for the individuals we seek to support. And as well as a piece of their own practice, we will provide a list of scenarios, and we'll ask the apprentices to think about what's the relevant law, what are the relevant issues in those particular cases. So that's a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what's involved in this module. I hope that's been helpful in terms of giving a bit of a picture of what we're aiming to do within the module. And I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to this video, and hope it is useful when you think about how we support apprentices within the workplace to get the best out of the course, to get the best out of the program, and to think about those kind of underlying principles of the law and how and why we apply it in the way that we do. So yeah, thanks for taking the time, and all the best to everybody with the completing the assignment and completing the work. Thanks.